I'm John Gurnig from the Fel-Pro Field Test Garage in Skokie, Illinois. And today I'm not in the Field Test Garage, but I'm back in our Dyno Lab test area, which is adjacent to the Fel-Pro Field Test Garage. Now my sons have said to me, "Dad, you don't know which way is up." But I'm here to tell you I definitely know which way is up when it comes to gaskets and the way they need to install. So I pulled from stock a variety of different gaskets, head gaskets, some intake gaskets, and I'm here to show you how we mark them so you know which way to install them on the vehicle. So let me give you a little explanation first of front or top and how we mark the gaskets so you know which way they're going to go on the engine. So when we say front, we mean front of the engine, and by that we mean where the drive belts are. So whether the engine is in there north to south like a rear-wheel drive application, or if the motor's in there sideways, when our gaskets say front, we mean front of the engine where the drive belts are. When we say left bank or right bank, and the gaskets will say left or right on them, by left bank we mean the perspective of you sitting in the driver's seat. That is the left side of the vehicle. So left bank is on the driver's side, right bank is on the passenger side. So I'm going to start you off by taking a look at a couple of GM 3.8 liter head gaskets. So in this particular instance, we've marked them in 3 different areas to make sure that they get installed correctly. So in this instance, we've marked it top, which means facing you when you're looking at the gasket. We've marked it with a front stamp, so it goes at the front of the engine, and we've marked it with the word right. So this gasket goes on the right bank of the engine. So next to it, I have the left bank gasket. Again, is also marked top, again at the front, and at the bottom of the gasket is marked left. So this gasket, it goes on the left bank of the engine. So I'm going to move on to a couple of our Permatorque MLS head gaskets. These 2 particular gaskets, these are for Ford V8, 4.6, 5.4 applications. And if you look closely, we've put down here in this area right bank and left bank. So that indicates to you, the technician, what side of the engine they're going to go on. So moving on, I have another Ford gasket. This is an old Ford V8 5-liter gasket. In this particular instance, we've marked the gasket front, and the front marking is here to indicate this gasket, this end of the gasket goes on the front of the engine. The reason for that is there's coolant holes here in the back, and it's important that the gasket goes on correctly, otherwise the coolant will not flow through the engine properly and you'll have an overheating problem. The last head gasket I want to show you today is for a GM 3.4 liter. And if you notice, it's striped on one side and not on the other. In this particular instance, there's no markings on this gasket. It doesn't say top, left, right, front, back, anything. In this instant, it does not matter which way you install it on the engine. Whether you install it this way with the lacing side up and no striping up, or if you install it this way with the lacing on the bottom side of the block and the striping up. It doesn't matter. It will function in either case. So as I've said before, if it's critical that the gasket needs to go on a certain way, we will mark that gasket to ensure that it goes on correctly and you have 100% proof leak seal. So I'm going to move on now from our head gaskets to some intake gaskets. And what I have here are some intake gaskets for small block Chevy. What we do is we mark it right here. It says this side up. So that means when you install a gasket on the cylinder head, you have it facing you. That's what we mean by this side up. The reason for that is so the embossments are facing up and help to provide 100% leak-proof seal. So I'm going to move on from intake gaskets to some ancillary gaskets, and these are water outlet or thermostat gaskets. In this particular case, blue striping's on one side, not the other. It doesn't matter which way you install it. Blue stripe up, blue stripe down, it doesn't matter. Here's another gasket. In this particular case, it does matter because there's a hole on it for the bypass, so it will make a difference which way you install it. So from there, I'm going to move on to some of our exhaust manifold gaskets. And these are gaskets that go on small block Chevy. These When you go to install them, you'll see that one side is real shiny and smooth and the other side is not. When you go to install these gaskets, you want to install them shiny side out. And the reason for that is the smooth side will help the exhaust manifold expand and contract during its heating and cooling cycles. So I hope this clears up some of the confusion that might be out there on which way to install a gasket. We've seen some of these questions on felproonly.com, so we thought we'd address that issue and help you out there. Make sure you know which way is up and install the gaskets the right way. I'm John Gurnig from the Fel-Pro Dyno Lab test area. I'll see you soon.